gene testing and what we should eat according to what the test comes after we get tested for the genes, right? So the main thing is like it's not like one one diet plan fits all. We hear about high carb, I mean low carb, high fat, all kind of diets, right? Atkins diet, Dash diet, this diet. But the main thing is, you need to eat according to your personalized constitution, and that's what we are talking today according with Dr. Tori, specializes on personalized eating, right? How genetics can help you figure out what to eat and how to love your body. That is the topic. Hello, Dr. Tori. How are you? I need to adjust my camera a little bit. It kind of goes up and down.
Yep, I know it cuts the screen in half right away.
I know. Well, thank you so much. And I love the topic is that, how all of us are so different and how our genes can help us determine, what to eat and what not to eat rather than following a set diet. Okay, I want to lose 5 pounds and I'm going into this and I'm going into that, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I see it all the time actually. People, I think diets are made for a certain reason and they actually don't work for the majority of people. And I see it every single day in practice. So it's interesting that, this is why I love doing genetics as much as I do, because when you cater something to somebody's, like the way they were made, then that's where the results start to happen instead of these other fad diets. The fad diets do work for some people, but like maybe 1 out of 10 people, which is really interesting.
Okay, great. And Dr. Tori is a naturopathic doctor from Canada, right? Do you want to say something about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I am a naturopathic doctor. I practice, I live in Toronto, Ontario, so I'm in Canada. But I've shifted my practice primarily online now with the
Mhm.
pandemic. So that's been a very interesting
Yeah.
shift for me. Yeah. And then I guess outside of that as well, I'm a Canadian beach volleyball athlete as well. So I do have like an athletic background as well as the naturopathic side of things.
Right, very cool, very cool. All right, let's just go to our topic now. So gene testing, I mean, so just walk us a little bit this kind of topic as to how would we start, right? Should we get the test first? Should we see you first? I mean, what is the process?
Okay, so actually in Ontario, it's a rule for naturopathic doctors. We're not allowed to have anything to kind of do with the testing. So what we do is we use a 23andMe,
Mhm.
which the patient gets themselves, and you can purchase them, off their website or on Amazon even. They have them. So if you have Prime, you can get free shipping. So the
Mhm.
patient will order the test kit themselves, and
Okay.
then you spit into a tube, you send it off. The results come back in 4 to 6 weeks, and then once your results come back, then I have patients email me their data file from there, and then I upload it to a program, and then
Oh,
I individualize it in there for each patient.
okay. So just walk us through some case study, like it's anonymous, of course, but any client case study that you have analyzed and on what was the thing that you discovered as far as the deficiencies, right? And how did you kind of tell them what to eat and what was the results?
Yeah, so it gets really specific, which I love. Being an athlete and competing most of my life, I've noticed that, I mean, at the top of most athletics, you're not winning and losing by a lot. It's usually like
Yes.
2 or 3 points, right?
Yeah.
So the small changes that we're making have a huge impact on our performance, on outcome, all these things. But I'll say that it's really interesting because some patients, they'll come with like a chief concern of weight loss, and they always assume it's like food or whatever. But
Mhm.
the reason that the report is so great is that it integrates your entire health picture into the report as well. So it tells you like what to eat for your body, how to eat for your body, how to move for your body, but it also does hormones, detoxification, inflammation, stress response. It does like everything,
Wow.
sleep, thyroid as well. So sometimes, people want it to be food and exercise, and they're for sure big contributors, but I
Mhm.
often integrate the entire report together.
So let's say, so just walk us through a report. So let's say a report comes and it would say like you're deficient in magnesium. Is that how I haven't seen 23andMe and this program. So that's why I want our viewers to understand what happens, when you do all
Okay.
this.
Yeah. So the 23andMe, it's basically just the collection.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have already done a 23andMe, and they're like,
Yeah.
it was cool. I learned this really random fact about myself, but now I have no idea kind of how or like what to do with it in my
Mhm.
life. So we upload it to a report that takes that raw data and organizes it into the different sections. So, for example, in the food section, it tells you how to eat. So, are you 3 meals a day? Were you meant to intermittent fast for how many hours?
Oh.
How much, like, should I have 3 meals a day with 5 to 6 hours between, or should I be fasting for like an 8 hour window with a 16 hour,
Mhm.
fasting period? And
Okay.
then we look at the macronutrients as well. So we say, how many grams of protein was your body made to consume per day? What is your sensitivity to carbs? What is your sensitivity to saturated fats? And all of
Mhm.
those things go into making up how your body was made to eat and
Mhm.
how to eat as well.
Mhm.
The protein one was a big one for me because, growing up in sport, everyone was like, eat more protein. And I'm like,
Yes.
okay. And then, sorry, there's actually a train going by just here if you
Oh,
heard
wow.
that.
So that's okay.
Um, so yeah, as a kid, it was like, eat more protein. And you're like, okay. But then when you think about it, you're like, what's more? Like, is it 20 grams? Is it a chicken breast? Like, I have no idea. What if I don't eat meat? So
Yeah.
it kind of narrows it down in that sense for you.
Okay.
And then for exercise, this is the
Mhm.
other big area. It breaks it down into cardiovascular and strength training or resistance training, which
Mhm.
is like lifting weights. So for cardio, it tells you like how many times per week, for how long you should be running, what
Wow.
intensity should you be pushing yourself to. And then
Mhm.
for strength training, it does like how many sets, how many reps, how many times
Mhm.
per week should you be lifting heavy, medium, or light weights. So it
Mhm.
gets really specific. And this is why patients get results and they love it so much because it takes all the guesswork out of it.
So you also, I think that's great. That's absolutely great. So just exactly telling me, should I do cardio more or should I do resistance training more, right? That's the level of
Yeah.
detail. And right now I'm winging, all of us are winging it, right? Oh, I should run this and I should do that.
Exactly. And I had this one lady, she was basically, I don't know if you guys have in the States, but it's like a workout gym called Orange. I think it was like Orange Fitness or something. But
Yeah, I
um,
think it's here. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like a high intensity type of workout. And she was
Hmm.
pushing herself, going like 5 days a week, and she really wanted to lose weight. That was her main goal.
Yeah.
And we ended up like running her genetics and then taking a look at it, and her body was not made to do HIIT. So she actually had to
Oh
switch
my
it up
God.
to cardio.
Yeah.
So I kind of told her to work out less and eat more. And she was like, are you kidding me?
Hmm.
And she ended up losing, a bunch of weight in the first 2 weeks right off the bat by like literally changing how she was working out.
Yes.
So that was awesome. And then I also have, a lot of us are really busy. And even as an athlete, you kind of just go through life doing what the team tells you to do. And
Mhm.
it's great to go to the gym and know
Yeah.
that you did exactly what your body needed. And then you can just leave and you have it's not like confusing or anything.
Yeah, yeah. So no, I think that makes sense. So let's just talk about, you talk about the hormones also, right? It tells you
Hmm.
which hormone. So does it go specifically as to whether you got to control your cortisols or estrogen or progesterone? I mean, how does the hormone part work?
Yep. So that's a really good question. I actually like almost never only look at the hormone part when I'm looking
I
at
see.
hormones. I also look at diet. I also look at inflammation. I also look at cortisol,
Hmm.
because they all kind of play a role into that hormone picture as well.
Hmm.
I've
Hmm.
seen people not sleeping well in the sleep section, which is
Yeah.
affecting their hormones. And sometimes too, it's so easy just to go to the thing that we think it is, like inflammation. They're like, oh,
Hmm.
I'm inflamed. It must be why my hormones are all crazy. And it's like, well, actually, it's probably because you're not sleeping that well. You're not able to
Hmm.
recover properly at night, inflaming the body. Because we actually get a little bit inflamed when we sleep, which is awesome for repair because you're busy doing stuff. And then you
Yeah.
wake up, and if you can't, bring that inflammation back down, then your hormones start getting all out of whack in the morning as well. So sleep is very, very important. But yeah, the hormone section, it looks at estrogen, testosterone, how much you make. Um, Basically how for the estrogen, like how much are you converting into the good kind of
Okay.
estrogen, the
Hmm.
protective kind, and then how much are you shunting into the proliferative kind as well. You want to obviously push as much of it into the protective kind if possible,
Okay.
um, which I always try to address primarily through the diet as well.
Hmm.
The reason I love this report so much is that it also allows me to individualize my treatment plans for patients. So
Hmm.
it doesn't mean that, everybody that has high, like 4-hydroxy estrogen is going to be put on DIM or whatever.
Hmm.
Sometimes I can address that through the diet. And also looking at the diet with detoxification as well. Like, should these people be eating cruciferous vegetables steamed, raw?
Hmm.
Sometimes that can be pushing inflammation one way or another as well.
Okay, so someone is saying something. Oh, so I think she's saying my mother does a lot of things, but nothing works. Are you able to read the question?
Yes. Well, there's nothing that gets to the root cause the way that genetics does. It's literally your skeleton essentially.
I
Um,
see.
and the cool thing about the report or doing your genetics is that they'll never change, right? Like your
Yeah.
genes will never change. If you took this test when you were 2 years old or you took it when you're 100 years old, it will be exactly the same. It's the
Mm.
environment that we're surrounding those genes in that can have an impact on our health. And that's why we've included the genes that are in the report. It's not every single gene from 23andMe, right? Because there's a ton of genes in that 23andMe that it pulls, but
Mm.
we like most of them aren't actionable, which is like you basically pull it and you're like, oh, cool, I have, blue eyes. That doesn't impact my health in any
Yeah.
way. Like,
Oh, okay. So the other thing is, like you said, most of the time you're using food, but you also use herbs and supplements, to kind of balance the whole thing.
yep, it depends. I mean, this is like why I love naturopathic medicine so much because it depends on
Hmm.
the patient. Like if someone comes to me and they're like, I will not take supplements, then I'm obviously
Yeah.
not going to recommend
Yeah.
supplements to that
Yeah.
patient.
Yeah.
Um, but it just depends on like I look at the whole picture, right? Like I'm like, what
Hmm.
kind of person are they? How active are they? Like what type of lifestyle do they have? And then I cater my treatment plan according to that and what they're okay with doing as well.
Okay. All right. All right. What else? Anyone has any questions? You're welcome to put it in the chat window and we can take it. We are talking about how integrated genetics can help you figure out what you eat and be, have a healthy body. That's what we are talking about, guys. So, all right. What else would you like to add to this?
I saw someone wrote about belly fat as well, and with that, I have seen a lot of, like I said, there's like a protective and a proliferative version of estrogen.
Hmm.
And sometimes if we're shunting too much of our estrogen into the proliferative kind, we can see that accumulation in certain areas of the body, especially in women. So it
Yeah.
tends to be our abdominal, like underarms, in between our thighs, like that area.
Oh.
So, you know, I believe that our body never does anything without a reason. It's always trying to tell us something. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, that could be something kind of, it's a little hint. It could be something going on there with potentially some estrogen.
Hmm.
So you could look into that.
Okay. So the other thing is, so let's say I get my 23andMe test done, which I have not. So, okay, someone is also talking about mix. Can you read that? For some reason, I
Yeah.
don't know, the question just disappears. It flies away.
I think, yeah, because when they come in, our screens are there and then it pushes it up. Can you
Yeah.
take more than one collagen drink mix per day? It helps with hormones. So collagen's a really interesting one. It actually is included in the report as well.
Hmm.
It's in the injury susceptibility and prevention section of the
Hmm.
report
Hmm.
because it's important to know not just how much collagen we make, but we also make these little enzymes that break down collagen. And sometimes if we do that too quickly, we can
Hmm.
increase our risk of injury.
I see.
And there's lots of people out there like that. They're like, how did you know? Like, I'm just constantly like the person that's forever injured and they're not necessarily doing something,
Hmm.
crazy. It's just they stub their toe and then they sprain their ankle and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm.
So yes, the collagen is important to kind of look at, but it's also like collagen's really great for hair, skin, nail.
Hmm.
And it's also one of our most abundant proteins in the body as well.
Hmm.
So, okay, let me
So
see
how
if
would you
I,
take collagen? Like what kind of foods or herbs or how would you? Yeah, and it's helpful for anti-aging also, right? The
oh
collagen because
yeah.
of our, yeah.
Yep. It's like that magic. I know they always say there's no magic pill. I'm actually doing a huge thing this week on protein on my own account as well. So
Oh,
I'm
okay.
very up to date with this right now.
Okay.
But it's like that constant fight between collagen and bone broth, right?
Yes.
Everybody's doing the comparison between the two. So basically, yeah, collagen, it's a more affordable option for sure.
Hmm.
It's very convenient and easy to take on the go.
Hmm.
You can buy it and like mix it into your smoothies. You can mix it into
Oh.
water. Some people
Hmm.
are putting it into coffee as a creamer.
Hmm.
But bone broth actually also has collagen in it,
Okay.
and a bunch of other vitamins and minerals as well. So it just depends on the patient. Like if somebody, has a pretty good profile in terms of their genetics and they eat well and they exercise within their
Hmm.
limits and all that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
then I think that collagen potentially to strengthen bone, skin, hair, nails is great.
Okay.
I like bone broth from like an immune standpoint as well.
Okay.
It just, as you know, it's really time consuming to make bone broth. You have to like
Yes.
put all the ingredients in and
Yeah.
let it sit there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
But another hint with the bone broth is that if you can get any other bone broth besides chicken, the beef and the bison tend to have the biggest nutrient content
Oh,
as well.
wow.
So if you can find a bone broth with one of those two, it would be better.
Okay. Someone asked a question. My 14-year-old wants to have collagen. Is that okay for a teenager to have collagen? I thought it was for older, I mean, like an adult, not a
Yep.
young teenager.
Yep. I just did a consult with a patient the other day that was 13 years old, and they are forever injured. And so we ran their profile. You're obviously growing, and
Yeah, of
some of
course.
these, yeah, like young children, they not that they're going to get Osgood-Schlatters, but it's that idea of kind of almost outgrowing what your body can handle in terms of
Yeah.
load at that time.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's I mean, potentially, yeah, it's not necessarily, I know it gets marketed, I think, more as an anti-aging thing, but it doesn't always have to be. It can totally
Okay.
be used from a injury susceptibility and prevention standpoint to
Oh,
help lower that risk as well. And you can just add it to your smoothie.
yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a great idea.
Hmm.
And someone asked your thoughts on hair loss in 50s. I think a lot of women experience that for estrogen dominance and all those. It's a very complicated thing, right?
I actually see the hair loss with testosterone dominance more than
Oh, is that
estrogen.
right? Okay.
Yeah, and you can kind of predict it as well a little bit,
Hmm.
because what happens is in the profile, what you'll see is people think, estrogen does have certain symptoms that kind of come out, but it's your more androgenic females, right? So when they were
Yeah.
younger, they're probably those athletic people that have the ability to put on more lean muscle mass. Their bodies just kind of tone up a little bit faster, but then when they
Hmm.
get older, you're not using up that testosterone as much. It
Yeah.
has to go somewhere. And then our androgens can start to deplete other nutrients and things. And we start to see like hair thinning or potentially like, patterned
Yeah.
baldness. The other thing you want to consider there is your thyroid. And
Okay.
taking a look at that as well. But again, it's all, integrated into that report. You can look at thyroid and hormones at the same time.
Well, amazing, amazing session. So much. I mean, so much information. I'm going to try the 23andMe. I've never tried. I'm also kind of winging it. And here I am telling the whole world. But no, honest, and I think this makes so much sense, to really understand your body in more minutely, more granularity, right? And then do
Mhm.
that what your body wants rather than following, all kind of fad diets, which all of us do, and I'm guilty as well as
Me
as I'm.
too. Me
You too?
too.
Okay,
I've
I'm
totally
not the
done it.
only one.
Yeah, I well actually my husband and I we did bulletproof coffee, which is like grass-fed butter and MCT oil, putting it into your coffee in the morning to help with energy. So he did it and he's like after 8 weeks he's like I feel amazing. I'm feeling so strong in the morning and I was like I feel nothing and I actually woke up one day and I started having like upper right quadrant pain and I'm like this isn't good. So I went to the doctor, got an ultrasound, ran some blood work. I ended up giving myself two gallstones, inflammation around my bladder or my
Oh
liver
my
and my
God.
gallbladder. So I called the doctor and she's like, why? I'm like, why do I have this?
Hmm.
And she basically was like, I don't know, it's idiopathic. So I ran my report and my saturated fat is like 18 grams, which is like on the low end. Like my body does not
Hmm.
function like on over and saturated fat, it's our good
Hmm.
fat. I was putting like 40 grams easily into just my coffee per day. Whereas like my husband, he's great with fats. So he was
Hmm.
like, I'm feeling great. My, energy levels are up there and I'm like giving myself gallstones for no reason. So I removed it.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you, right? Like we're two healthy, we think healthy individuals that are doing this fad that's like
Hmm.
supposed to help. And one of us succeeded and the other gave herself
Yes.
gallstones. So
No, I think that's a great story. That's a great story. And I hope our viewers like this session. I see a lot of people were saying thank you. So you're welcome. And thank you so much, Dr. Tori, for being with us. Amazing, amazing
yes.
session. Really educational to all of us to really treat our body with more respect and individualized, right? And don't follow the herd. That's what, we all follow the herd. That's what happens, right? Look at all of us.
I think it's like the way that the media works, right? Like
Yeah.
everyone's trying to make money. But this is like a one-time test, to be honest, too. It's
Yes.
different than like blood work and all that other kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
So it's a good investment in that kind of a way.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so
All
much, Dr.
right.
Tori.
Thanks so much
Yes.
for having me.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you everyone for supporting us on every single day. And please help us share these sessions. Thank you. Bye-bye.